in Pharmaceuticals in association with Higher Secondary Principals Forum.
Good day, students. I'm back with you, Teacher Jennifer from Mount Mary High Secondary School. Last time I had started the topic on issue of shares. Now I'm continuing with that. Last time we touched on primary markets, their features, the modes, different modes of selling shares through primary markets. We touched on the IPO, initial public offer, book building process, where the book is built for shares every day as the company issues the shares in the market for the first time. Then we went through private placement, where you saw that the company issues shares to whom they select. And the fourth was employee stock option plan, where the company issues shares to the employees, only to the employees of the company, in order to ensure that they are doing their best for the company. So when they buy the shares, they feel a sense of belonging in the company and they give their best to the company. So that was under primary market. Now in primary market, we have seen the company issues shares to the public and the public pays money for the shares and the money goes directly to the company. That was in primary market. Now today we are going to go on through secondary market. These are the topics that we will be doing today. Secondary market. Okay, secondary market, listing of shares, dematerialization of shares, rematerialization of shares, and application of shares. Depending upon the time that we have, this is what is scheduled for today. Today we are going to touch on the topic of secondary market or stock exchange. Now you know that the secondary market comes only after the shares are sold in the primary market. After the new securities are sold in the primary market, then we start with the secondary market. Now I told you to look at your picture over here towards your left. The company issues shares to the investor. The investor pays money for the shares and the money goes directly to the company. Okay, so it is very clearly depicted in your picture that the money goes directly to the company. That is a primary market. So that's what they are trying to tell you in the first point. The secondary market comes only after the new securities are issued in the primary market. Okay, so it involves trading of securities. Now when we say buy or sell shares at a stock market, it means, okay, we are trading in shares. The term that you have to use is trading in shares or trading in securities. Now this market, secondary market, is very important for purchase and sale of shares. Okay? Now see in your picture that is given to the other side where secondary market is there. Now you see the company is there. The shares are already sold in the market and you can see the arrow mark which is there where the shares are bought between investor 1 and investor 2. Can you see the arrow mark? The shares are sold to investor 2 and investor 2 pays investor 1 the money. So here it is trading in shares between the investors. Okay, so these are trading in shares which are already in the market. So over here what it provides, a stock exchange, it provides liquidity to the securities purchased by the individuals. Now when I say liquidity, I am going to explain it further to you. So liquidity means you can immediately sell your shares, or if you have money, you can immediately buy shares at a stock market. That will be one of the functions which we are going to go through. So this is the difference over here, students. If you look at your picture, on that picture itself, you can know the difference between a primary market and a secondary market. In the primary market, the money goes directly to the company. In the secondary market, what is happening? The investors are trading in shares. They are buying and selling the shares. So I go on to the next. Now we are doing functions of a secondary market. Now, one of the functions of a secondary market is safety of transaction of securities. Now, safety, when I say safety, I've put a picture of a lock for you. Now, you know when a lock is there, you lock up your house to keep your house safe. So try to remember when you are studying your answers, what is safety, okay? So safety of transaction of security. So whichever shares are listed at the stock exchange, okay, they operate within the rules and regulations of the stock market. Whatever rules are given over there. So what happens? This ensures safety. They are not doing anything which is beyond what is at the stock market. Okay, so when you know you're trading through someone, you know that it is safe. Now when you keep your money in a bank, you know your money is safe. Okay? Now if you give your money to your friend or to your brother or your sister to keep, you know if you need it, they may tell you they have spent it. But here what is happening, it is safe. It is when you need, you can go and withdraw your money. So like that over here, the shares are safe at a stock exchange because they follow the rules and regulations which are given at the stock market. Then besides that, they also contribute to economic growth. Now see, in a stock market, shares are bought and sold. So when people are buying shares, selling shares, investment, disinvestment, reinvestment takes place. Okay, so what happens when you buy shares, people are investing in shares only which are most productive. Okay, in companies which are most productive, where they are getting the maximum. So what happens when you are doing well, the economy of the country also goes up because you have facilities, you have more finance with you. When you have more finance, your wants increase. So what's happening? The economy is also developing. Our standard of living also goes high. Then liquidity. Now you can see the cash pictures that are put for you, money pictures. So what happens when you invest in the stock market? You have assurance that your investment can be converted into cash. Okay, your investment can be converted into cash. You can get money as and when you need it. So this is a big advantage because you don't have to wait when you need your money. You get your money when you require it. So over here you can see your investment. When I say investment, your securities, okay, your shares can be converted into cash whenever the person wants it. So that is an advantage. That's why they invest in shares. Then over here, it also promotes the habit of saving and investment. Now see, when you invest in shares, it is a saving for you. Now when you have little amount of money, what you do, you say my money is so little, let me spend it. But even with small savings, you keep on saving, that amount increases. Okay? So when it increases, you invest in shares. Now I put two pictures for you. You can see on the right side, the man is looking at the stock market. So he knows that this is an opportunity for him to invest in shares. Okay, this is a good opportunity for him to invest in shares. So he knows the benefit of it. So what he can do, you can see that even small amount of money, now the person is saving coins. That's okay because that small amount of money at the end of the term grows large and then you can invest in shares. You can buy small amount of shares. So what happens over here? It promotes the habit of saving. So people think, okay, I can invest even in small amount in shares, so let me start saving money. So this helps people to save money. Then, better allocation of capital. Now see, when you have sufficient funds, you can think of big things. You can think of big buildings, you can think of expanding your company, you can think of growth. The pictures I put for you depicts growth. Now, how the growth takes place? The share prices of companies making profits are high. Now see, companies, when the market goes up in the stock exchange, okay, the prices of shares go up at the stock exchange, the companies are doing well because the profit is high. So what happens is they can easily raise money through the stock market. And people are not going to invest into companies that are making a loss. Okay, they are not going to invest into companies making a loss. Anytime when you go in for investment, you are going to check the various rates of interest. You are not directly going to go and invest your money somewhere. You will make a study, okay, which person is giving you or which investment gives you a higher rate of interest. So public will not invest in companies making a loss. So what happens? The stock exchange allocates funds in profitable channels. So you know where the profit is and you start investing in those type of companies. So these are the functions of a stock market. Okay, so I hope you have understood what is a stock market, where trade takes place between two investors. Trading is taking place. Now I am going on to the next subtopic, that is listing of shares. Now listing of shares means what? When companies put their shares on the list of the stock exchange, they include their company's shares on the list of the stock exchange. So look at your screen. Listing means inclusion of securities in the official list of a recognized stock exchange for trading. So by listing your shares at the stock market, how does it help you? It provides marketability, publicity, liquidity, transferability of shares. Okay, all this takes place when you list your shares at the stock market. Now in the following slide, I am going to show you this, how it provides marketability, liquidity. But try to understand the meaning of listing. So listing includes securities in the official list of a recognized stock exchange. So when the companies list their shares, they include their shares on the list of a stock exchange. Now it is option for the company, optional, whether they want to list the shares at the stock exchange or they don't want to list the shares at the stock exchange. But if the value of shares exceeds rupees 3 crores, then it is compulsory listing at the stock exchange. Okay? If a company has shares worth 3 crores and more, they have to compulsorily list their shares on the list of the stock exchange. So that is the meaning of listing of shares. Now in the further slides, you will see, in order to list your shares, what are the requirements? Okay? What requirements you need? What documents you have to give? So over here it is, what documents are given by a company to list your shares at the stock exchange? Understand the question first, then you can understand the answer. So the documents that are required to list the shares at the stock exchange is, first, you have to make an application letter. And in your application letter, you have to request the stock exchange to list your shares at the stock market. Okay, so first you have to give in an application letter. Then you have to submit documents, copies of documents of the company. All of you know what these documents are. All of you know what is a memorandum of association, articles of association, prospectus. These are the three main documents which all companies compulsorily have. Okay? So now they have to give copies of this. So a copy of the memorandum and a copy of the articles of association. Besides that, they have to give a prospectus. A copy of the prospectus has to be issued to the stock exchange. Now, you know, I have written there, the third point you can see, it is prospectus or a statement in lieu of prospectus. Now, you already know that if companies do not issue a prospectus, they give this document called as a statement in lieu of prospectus to the ROC, to the Registrar of Companies. Okay, now when is a statement in lieu of prospectus given? If you have your own friends and relatives who are ready to buy the shares in your company, and you don't need to issue the shares to the public, that is the time you issue a statement in lieu of prospectus. So I hope you are clear with that. So either you issue a copy of the prospectus or a statement in lieu of prospectus. Then you have to give, if you have entered into an agreement with underwriters, you have to give a copy of that. Now, who are underwriters? Again, I am reminding you, underwriters are people who buy the remaining shares not bought by the public. Companies issue shares to the public. And if the public do not subscribe to all the shares, at times company has to return the money back to the public. So in avoid such a situation, they enter into an agreement with the underwriters. So those are underwriters who buy up all the remaining shares which are not bought by the public. Then besides that, you have to give your director's report, okay, which you have during your annual general meeting, director's report or annual report it is called, plus your annual accounts. Annual accounts will be certified by the auditor of the company. Those two documents which we submit for the annual general meeting of the last 5 years. So you have to give copies of your director's report and annual accounts for the last 5 years. Then, if the company has given dividend or the company has issued bonus to the shareholders, okay, how this distribution has been done, that statement has to be filed with the stock exchange. Besides that, your copies of application forms. See, when people, companies issue shares, they have to give an application form. Once the shares are allotted, the companies issue a share certificate. So the stock exchange wants a copy of all these documents. Okay, so a copy of all these documents have to be given to the stock exchange. So again, have a quick glance on your screen. You have to give an application letter. Then remember the documents of the company. Okay, 3 documents. So it's very easy to remember. Memorandum, articles, prospectus. If no prospectus, then a statement in lieu of prospectus. Then if you are entering into an agreement with underwriters, a copy of that. Then for the last 5 years, the director's report and the annual accounts of the company. Of course, companies keep all the documents of the company, so they easily can give these copies to the stock exchange. Then capital structure of the company. What is the authorized capital, okay, issued capital, subscribed capital, paid up, called up, all that distribution, the capital structure of the company. If company has issued dividend or if company has issued bonus shares, okay, a distribution of all this that was done, copies of all these documents have to be given to the stock exchange along with the copies of application forms and share certificate. Okay, so when you want to list your shares at a stock exchange, these are the documents that have to be submitted to the stock exchange. Hope this is clear to you. Now, advantages of listing at a stock exchange is broadly classified into 2. One is advantages of listing to investors separately, advantages of listing to companies. This is what I am going to go through with you now. So, advantages of listing to investors. Please understand, investors are people who invest in the company. And how the company, it's an advantage to the company also. That is also going to be told to you. Now, advantages of listing to the investors. The first is liquidity. Now when I say liquidity is, you can get hard cash, you can get cash immediately, you can get money immediately in your hands. How you can get it? By converting your securities into cash. So read there, shareholders can convert their securities into cash by selling them as and when they require. Okay, it's not compulsory you have to sell them. Only as and when they require, they will sell the shares at the stock market. Then, fair dealings. Now you will see that this picture is blurred. In the sense, all deals at a stock exchange are transparent. Okay, transparent manner. Now whenever you deal with accounts, they have to be transparent. We use this term. Now transparent means it has to be clear. When the account is put before you, you should be able to understand where the money has come from, where you have spent it. That is what it means by fair dealings. So all the transactions are conducted in an open and transparent manner. Therefore, investors are assured of fair dealings. Now, whenever you get a fair dealing, that is the time you want to deal with anybody. Suppose somebody tries to cheat you, okay, and you have had a bad experience, you are not going to deal with that person again. It is but natural. Nobody likes a crook or a cheater. Nobody likes that. Okay, so what happens at a stock market, everything is open and transparent. So because everything is open and transparent, investors are sure of getting a very fair, clear dealing. So that's why they invest in the stock market. That is an advantage for the investor. The third advantage what investors get is information. Now at a glance, if you look at that picture, it is a picture of a stock market. Okay, people working at a stock market. So every minute, every second you come to get the deals that are happening at a stock market. The prices of shares, the vary of amount at the prices in the stock market. Okay, so what happens is, listed companies have to provide clear information to the stock exchange. So companies have to give their information to the stock market. And we investors get information from the stock market as to how our shares are doing. Whether our company, what we have invested is doing well or not doing well. So you understood how it is an advantage for the investor. Because he is getting updated information. Once the stock market is open, you get the updated information, okay, regarding assets of the company, regarding the profit, dividend, bonus. So what happens here, it is safeguarding the interest of investors. Because see, again read that first sentence, listed companies have to provide clear information to the stock exchange. So companies are providing the information. Okay, and this information provided to the stock exchange will be given to the investors. Then another advantage for investors is you get loan facility. Okay, so you can get loan against your shares. You can see over there on the screen, a person is giving his shares to be kept as a security. And against the shares, the banks or any person, investment institutions give you a loan. He is giving him money. So investors can apply for loan by providing listed securities as collateral security. I hope you have understood. Collateral means you are keeping something over there, and because you are keeping your shares as a security, they are giving you a loan. Sometimes banks may ask you for a security. At that time, you can also give your shares as a security, your share certificate, or you can take a statement and you can submit it to the company. Or you can keep your gold, you can keep your house as a security, and a loan is given. So here, what they are trying to tell you, you get easy loan facilities when you are trading in shares. Now coming to the next, we are going to do is advantages of listing to companies. Okay, now earlier what I discussed with you was advantages of listing to investors. You and me are investors at a stock market. Now the advantages of listing to companies here. The first thing is it creates publicity for the company. Now the picture I put for you are names of various companies over here. Okay, various companies. So what I am trying to tell you, even if you don't know about these companies, because your companies are listed at the stock exchange, they get publicity. So read what is on the screen. Listing of securities creates publicity to companies since their name is mentioned on the stock market report. So your name comes up on the list of the stock market. It may come through the TV, or you go direct live, you can check at the stock market, or you can read the newspaper. Okay, so your name of your company comes on that list. So the company's analysis appears, as I told you, in your newspaper, magazines and your TV news channels. So what is happening, even if you didn't know about certain companies, when you are reading about the company in which you invested, the other companies' names are coming on the list. So when the other companies' names are coming on the list, you come to know about those companies. So that is how publicity is created for the companies. Then, as I told you, deals at a stock market are open and transparent. That is another advantage why investors are also investing in a stock market, because the deals are open and transparent. I told you, you get a very fair dealing. I hope you recollect that. Now over here, again it is an advantage to companies. By complying with the listing requirements, the operation of the company becomes more transparent and investor friendly. Because see, when you are listing your shares at the stock market, you have to comply with their requirements. I told you, you have to submit all those documents. So when you submit all your documents have to be in order. If they are not in order, you cannot give it to somebody else. So first and foremost, before submitting it to the stock market, you are bringing your documents in order first. Okay, so over here, everything is transparent. Now I cannot rule out, I cannot say there is 100% transparency. Sometimes you know that through however clear you may keep things, some way or the other there may be a slight problem that may take place. But on the whole, compared to any other dealings that you have, there is transparency at a stock market. Then, now again, an advantage is wide market. Now you can see the picture put for newspaper. When it is a newspaper means what? You are getting information. Why do we buy papers? We buy the newspaper to get information, to get to know what is happening all over the country, all over the world. That's why we read newspapers. So over here, the stock market is also updating the list of different companies. So over here, the market is also increasing. Listing of securities create interest among prospective investors and thus widens the market for securities of the company. So because even if you didn't know about markets, stock markets, when you read the newspaper, you know about it and then your interest starts increasing. So when your interest starts increasing, you will start finding out more and you will start investing in a stock market. So that's how it creates publicity. Then again over here, for companies also, they can take a loan. Listing of securities enhances the reputation of the company and thus the securities have high collateral value. Now once your shares are listed on the stock market, the reputation of the company. Now when you say reputation of the company, the name of the company, okay, the name of the company is increasing. Enhances means it increases even the name of the company. So what happens? The security, because the name of the company is coming up in the market, what happens? The value of the securities also increase. So, automatically the company's name is increasing and the shares, because you have shares in the market, the value of those shares goes up. So, you can get a higher loan. So, that is what we mean here, you are getting a high collateral value. Okay students, so I hope you have understood the meaning of listing. Listing is when companies list their shares at the stock exchange. Okay, it is put in the official list of the stock exchange. Then you have seen advantages, we have two, how advantages are to investors and advantages to companies. Now we continue with the next, dematerialization of shares. The short form we call Demat of shares. Now what is the meaning of Demat of shares? When you convert a physical certificate into electronic data and then it is stored in computers at the request of the investor, is called dematerialization. Okay? Now see, physical certificate. Physical certificate, when we say, it means a hard copy. You have the certificate with you in your hand. That is what we talk when we say physical certificate. Now what you are doing as an investor, you are converting your physical certificate into electronic data. So you are putting it into the electronic data, and once it is in electronic data, it is stored in computers. But this will be done only at the request of the investor. So once you convert your physical shares into electronic data, it is called as dematerialization of shares. Please get this very clearly into your mind. So when you convert your hard copy, your physical share certificate into electronic data, okay, but it will be not done automatically. Suppose I am an investor, I have to request for it. I have to tell the company I want to convert my physical shares into electronic data. Once it is done, it will be stored in computers, and that is called as dematerialization of shares. Okay? Now see the next sentence, the second sentence. Demat account is very much like a bank account. All of us know what is a bank account. But here it is like a bank account for shares. Okay, your trading of shares will be showed in your Demat account. And you have to link your bank account to it, because when you make payment or you receive, the cash goes into your bank account. But the shares that you trade in goes into your Demat account. So Demat account is very much like a bank account. Please get that clear in your mind. Now securities. Now I am talking about securities, shares. When I say securities, again it means shares. Securities in an electronic form, okay, on behalf of the account holder are kept in Demat account. So what I am trying to tell you here, at the request of the account holder, I am an account holder, I am an investor, but I am requesting the company to convert my securities into the electronic form, and that is called dematerialization of shares. Okay? So what is Demat of shares? Conversion of physical shares into electronic data. Now I want you to be very, very clear about this meaning of Demat of shares. Okay? It means conversion of physical shares into electronic data. Now how this is done? Please listen now. Now this is done, see, we have a depository and we have a depository participant, which I am going to tell you in my next slide. But first you understand what is a depository. So a depository is a bank for securities. How you have a bank for your money, here we have a depository which is called as a bank for securities. And once this bank, your share securities are put with the depository, they are held in the electronic form. Again, I am emphasizing on this. They are held in the electronic form. They are transferred electronically through a computer. Okay? Computer entry is made. of the investor through a delivery instruction note. So, whenever a transaction takes place, it is done through a delivery instruction note. So, please read the definition again. So, what is a depository? It is a bank for securities, but which are held in the electronic form. It is transferred electronically. They make a computer entry, it is transferred electronically. Okay. The investor has to give an instruction. Only then it takes place. If the investor does not give an instruction, they cannot transfer your shares. Okay. The trade does not take place unless the investor gives an instruction. Now, there are two depositories. Okay. So, you have two depositories. It is over here. You have the NSDL, that is the National Securities Depository Limited, and you have the CDSL, which is the Central Depository Securities Limited. So, when you are trading in shares, the depository participant will trade through these two depositories. Okay. For us here in India, they will trade through these two depositories, NSDL and CDSL. So, who are these? These are the bank for securities. Okay. These are the bank for securities. So, there are two types of depositories. You have the National Securities Depository Limited and you have the Central Depository Securities Limited. So, it will be done through both these depositories whenever trade takes place. Now, we will see who does it for us. Now, we have someone who is called as a depository participant. So, now read the first point. If the investor wants to use the services offered by a depository, the investor has to open an account with the depository through a depository participant, through a DP, the short form. I am not talking about your DP on your WhatsApp. Please do not get confused. Your DP here means your depository participant. So, now on this picture you can just see, now see 1, the shareholder wants to open an account. So, he opens an account through the depository participant. See the second point over there. He opens an account through a depository participant. And the third is the depository. Actually, the depository is the bank, but the investor will not open the account directly with the depository. He does not go to point 3, he goes to point 2. So, this depository participant is a link between the depository and the investor. Please understand this very clearly, otherwise you may tend to get confused. So, we have the depository here who is the bank for securities. A depository participant is a link between the depository and the investor. Okay, he is a link. So, when you want to open an account, you open an account with the depository participant. He opens the account for you with the depository. So, the investor has to contact the DP and the DP gets the work done for the investor. So, again the second point you can see it is highlighted for you. He is a link between the depository and the investor. Okay. So, a DP is a link between the investor and the depository. So, who is this depository participant? Now, according to SEBI, Securities Exchange Board of India, they are stockbrokers, financial institutions. Okay. These type of people act as depository participant. So, when you want to trade in shares, you cannot trade in shares directly, you have to go through a stockbroker, and that stockbroker over here is your depository participant. So, students, hope I am very clear with you. Okay. So, you know now who is a depository. Okay. What are the two depositories that we have, NSDL and CDSL, and you know who is a depository participant. Okay. So, the investor, what we do, we accept the services of the depository through whom? Through the depository participant. So, the depository participant is a dash. When I say a dash means he is a link between the investor and the depositor. Okay. So, if this is clear, then next I am going to go to advantages of Demat. Now, dematerialization of shares. When you trade in shares through the electronic mode, what are the advantages that you have? Okay. Once you trade in shares through the electronic mode, what are the advantages that you have? So, the first thing is safety. See, each one of us protects ourselves. We take maximum safety measures in various ways, whether it is your financial security. At present our safety is not our money, it is our health. In this difficult times, all of us take maximum security. We have to, we do not have an option. Okay? So, your safety is important. At present, the situation deals with safety of your health, taking precautions, being at home. Okay? And you are lucky you do not have to go to school. We have to come to school every day. So, that security you can take by staying at home and being safe. Now, coming to safety, advantages of Demat, coming back here. Now, there is safety. See, there is no scope of loss, misplacement or theft. Now, what are the things that take place? Now, there can be a loss. Sometimes what happens, we may lose our share certificate. We may misplace it. We may keep it somewhere thinking, okay, I am going to keep it safe here, and we may forget where it is. And then you can never find it. Or it can be robbed. Okay? Theft is robbery. So, over here, if it is in the electronic form, nobody can rob it. Okay? Nobody can rob it. So, that is what they are saying. When you convert your physical shares into electronic form, the safety that you have over here, you cannot get in like how it is in the physical certificate. So, once it is in the Demat form, it is not like a physical certificate where it can be lost, misplaced or robbed. That is the first advantage. Now, second one, correspondence. Okay? Now, what happens is when investors invest at a stock market, you can read here annual reports, notice of the annual general meeting. All these are sent to the address of the investor, which is given in your Demat account. So, companies are updating you. They are giving you information about this. So, if there is any change in address, the investor like you and me have to inform the depository participant. He will make a note of the change of address. Okay? But what happens here, through correspondence, they are updating us. They may send us an email, they may send us a notification. Okay? So, these various ways it is an advantage. Okay? Because correspondence, annual reports, notice of annual general meeting, all this is sent to our Demat account. Okay? Whatever address we have given. And if you are changing your place of residence from one place to the other, you have to inform the DP, depository participant. Okay? That is the second advantage. Now, the third advantage, credited to the bank account. So, any money of yours, any dividend you are getting, any interest you are getting, all this money will go directly to your bank account, which you have given in your Demat account. As I told you, when you open a Demat account, you have to also give your bank account. So, once any cash transaction is there, the money is put into your bank account. So, you do not even have the headache of going to the bank. It is directly credited to your bank account. So, again remember, this is a big advantage. Now, besides getting cash, companies also give non-cash benefits. Now, what are non-cash benefits that you may get? Like issue of bonus shares, right shares. Okay? What they do? They credit this directly to your Demat account. So, besides getting money, in the money when you get is like through your dividend, through interest. Okay? That is how you get money. That money is credited directly to your bank account. But besides cash, I am trying to tell you, you get non-cash benefits. If company is doing very well, they give you bonus shares. All of you know that bonus shares are free shares that are given to shareholders. So rights shares, the first preference will be given to you if you want to buy shares. So this advantage again you have when you have a Demat account. SMS alerts. All of you are very familiar with this. All of you have a mobile today. So all of you know what is an SMS. Okay, the moment something is debited into your account or credited into your account, you get a message. Today when you use your ATM card, you withdraw money or somebody withdraws money from your account, a message comes to you. So immediately you know for what, who has used your transaction. And if it is not you, you can immediately stop it. So this is a big advantage, SMS alerts. And today everyone has a mobile. So a question doesn't arise of not getting an SMS message. Okay? So this again is an advantage for Demat. Then purchase and sale of shares can be in lots of one in the electronic form. Now one thing you have to remember here, you cannot buy half a share, quarter share, 3/4. You don't buy shares here in fractions. Okay? That is the meaning what they say here, when shares can be purchased in lots of one, LOTS. In lots of one means, okay, you are buying and selling shares in numbers. 5 shares, 10 shares, 1 share, 2 shares, 100 shares, 200 shares. Okay, that's what it means, purchase and sale of shares. And of course, this is done at the stock market. So I put a picture for you of a stock market, through the stock market, whatever. You may go through your broker, but then he puts forward your message through the stock market. So this is done in lots of fun. So I hope you have understood the advantages of Demat. Now I am going on to the next. Now procedure of Demat of shares. Now in procedure of Demat of shares, now this may be something little bit different for you. So pay attention. I have put it for you point wise. So just try to understand what is on the screen. Please follow that. Now the first thing is, the investor opens a Demat account with the depository participant. This all of you know, I have been telling you. So the first thing what an investor does, you have to have a Demat account. As I told you, a Demat account is like your bank account, and you have to open that account through your DP. So you have to go through the depository participant. So you can see over here, first thing that the investor does, he opens an account with a depository participant, through a depository participant for himself. Now what he does, in order to open this account, he has to submit a Demat request form, DRF, a dematerialized request form. Okay? To open this account, you have to fill in this form. Now when you open your bank account, you have to fill in a form which is given by the bank, yes? Okay. So like that, you have a form which you have to fill in, and that form is called as a dematerialized request form. Now along with the form, you have to submit your share certificate, your physical copy, your hard copy of your share certificate. Okay. So along with that, both these documents, you have to submit to whom? To your depository participant, to your DP, because now he is going to do the transactions for you. Okay? So I hope the first point is very clear to you. So the investor opens an account with the depository participant. So to open this account, what he has to submit? 2 documents. He has to give the DRF along with the share certificate. To whom he gives it? To the depository participant. What the depository participant does. Now we will see what he does next. Okay. Now what we said, the investor submits both these documents to the DP. Now comes the DP. Now what he is going to do, we are going to study here. Now the depository participant will take the request form and the share certificate. Both these documents are given to him, you have seen that. Now what he does, on the share certificate, he will write these words. You can see put in inverted commas, surrendered for Demat. Okay, on that share certificate he will write surrendered for Demat. Then what he does? The depository participant has to request your depository now, okay, that you want to open an account. So who are the depositories? I told you we have 2 depositories. So he may request the CDSL or the NSDL, okay, the National Securities Depositories or the Central Depository Securities. So with any one, not with both. You cannot open your account with both. He is opening your account. So what he does, first thing is he takes both these documents that the investor has given to him. On the share certificate, what he writes? Surrendered for Demat. Then what he does? He will request the depository. Remember the depository, 2 are there. So they are the CDSL or the NSDL. So he will request them to open an account for you. Then what he does? He will take your request form and your share certificate. Okay. These 2 documents he will give to whom? To the ROC, Registrar of Companies. Okay. So 2 things is done by the depository participant. Once the investor give him both the documents, he will take the request form. On the share certificate he writes surrenders for Demat. Then he opens an account with a depository, either one of them, CDSL or NSDL. Then he takes the form and the share certificates and submits it to the Registrar of Companies. Now what the Registrar of Companies or what the company has to do, we are going to see. Now see, now the company also has to check whether all this information is correct. So now the third step is verification by the company. Okay, verification means the company is checking whether the information is correct. Now who does all this type of work in the company is none other than the company secretary. So what the company secretary does is she will check all these details of the Demat form, okay, what form is given, with the register of members. Now all of you know what is a register of members. It is where all information of shares is entered in this register. Okay. So all this information she will check with the register of members. Which information? Which is given in the Demat request form. Okay. This information she checks with the register of members. Then what she will do? If everything is correct, you know again, as I told you last time, by default, it is the board of directors in the company who take any decision. So what the company secretary does is she will have to arrange for a board meeting. As I told you, no decision can be taken alone in the company. It is taken by the board of directors. So the company secretary arranges for a board meeting, and in their meeting they will pass a resolution. Now what resolution they will pass? To go ahead with the Demat of shares. Okay, so this point here is what the company secretary is satisfied. After checking all information, she arranges for a board meeting, and the board of directors will pass a resolution regarding dematerialization of shares. So they say, okay, your physical shares can be converted into a Demat of shares. Demat account can be opened. Now, they will have to cancel this physical share certificate. Okay, we will see how it is done now. So the board of directors approve the Demat request. They will say, okay, fine, go ahead, you can open a Demat account. So what happens next is the secretary destroys the share certificate, because see, there is no value for this physical share certificate now. It is converted into electronic data. So you cannot keep it. So what she does, she destroys the share certificate. She will cancel the number of the share certificate from where? From the register of members. And what she will do in that place where the shareholders number was there, she will enter the client's ID number, your identity number. Now a number is given to you. Once you open your Demat account, that is the number given to you. You will have to give that number to your DP every time you are trading in shares. Okay, so he enters the client's ID number in that register of members and the name of the depository, whether the depository participant has opened with CDSL or NSDL. So, whoever they have opened the account with, that name of the depository will be entered in the register of members. So, in the register of members what happens? All the details of the share certificate is taken out, and in that place the client's ID number is written along with the name of the depository with whom you are going to trade with shares. Then updating and confirmation of Demat by the secretary. Now, what the secretary does? Okay. See, the secretary updates the company records. So, whatever company records are there, the secretary will update that record. The company's records also have to be updated. That is what I told you, where in the register of members, she will write the ID number and the name of the depository. So, that is the meaning of that, updates the company's records. Then she sends the information, all this is done through the electronic communication. So, she will send the electronic communication about the confirmation of dematerialization to the depository. Okay. So, who she informs? She will inform the depository because the depository has intimated them. So, she will send an electronic communication about the confirmation of Demat, confirming the dematerialization of shares to the depository. Then what the depository does, you will see over here, the depository has to update the records now. Okay. So, the depository will update the records again electronically. Okay. So, electronically he will credit the investor's account. Now, because the depository is the bank. Okay. So, electronically he will credit the investor's account. Then he will again confirm about the Demat of shares with the company. After that he will inform the depository participant. Okay. After that he will inform the depository participant that then the depository participant will update the records of the investor. See now here, students, I want you to make a note, the depository is not updating the records of the investor. He will inform the depository participant, and the depository participant will update the records of the investor. Okay. So, that is what I am telling you. The investor goes through the DP. So, over here the depository will inform the DP and the DP will update the records of the investor. It is a process, it is a procedure. That is why this is called as procedure of Demat of shares. It is not directly from the company to the investor, or it is not directly from the depository to the investor. See, the company informs the depository informs the DP, and the DP will inform the investor. Okay. So, here he updates the records of the investor and he credits the investor's account. So, the investor's account is credited through the depository participant. This is, and the last point is, now the depository participant has to inform the investor. Okay. So, over here you will see the DP informs the investor. Then what he does, he will credit his account with the Demat of shares. So, the DP credits the account of the investor and sends him a statement of account telling him, see, these are the shares, so many shares. Now, this is all done, even they may send him an email or a notification is sent or a SMS is sent to him. Okay? And he will check his statement of account. Now, this entire process, what we have done now here, it takes about 15 days time. This entire procedure takes about 15 days time, unless there is a large amount of certificates which are sent by the company to convert into Demat of shares, then it may take 30 days. But otherwise, the entire procedure is done within a period of 15 days. Okay. So, I hope you have understood the procedure of Demat of shares. Now, students, we have seen the entire procedure of Demat of shares. So, if you understand it, go through it very carefully again, okay, and then you will see point by point how the procedure takes place. So, the investor over here goes through a depository participant. Okay, though there is a depository over here, he doesn't directly contact the depository, he goes through a depository participant. And I told you there are special people who are appointed as depository participant, like stock brokers and all, who look into the matter for the investors. Now, a small topic that is here, remat of shares, rematerialization of shares. Now, today already you have studied dematerialization of shares, where you convert the physical share into electronic shares. Now, this is the opposite. Okay, it's very simple. Rematerialization of shares is a process of conversion of electronic shares into physical shares. It is very rarely done, okay, but it is there and it can take place, where you can convert your electronic shares into physical shares. So, again you can get your hard copy of your shares back if you want. So, it is conversion of electronic shares into your physical certificate over here. Now, the same way how the investor gave a Demat request form, here what he does is he has to fill up a Remat request form. And again here he has to go through the depository participant. Okay, he doesn't do it on his own, the DP, that is the depository participant, does it for him. So, rematerialization of shares, the short form as we call Remat, is just the opposite of Demat. Okay, so Demat is physical shares into electronic data and Remat is electronic securities into physical certificate. And the same thing he has to do, he has to fill in the form and go through his depository participant. The rest of the work will be completed by the depository participant for the investor. Okay, thank you.
Prudent Scholars, powered by Lupin Pharmaceuticals.